Hi, my name is Eddie and this is How to Get Living. Today I'm going to talk about rule number 2, which is create something new. Create something new. This is again a principle. Rule number 2, always create something new. I'm going to use an example. Let's say you're trying to get rid of toxic people from your life. If you just stop hanging out with those people all of a sudden, just don't have anything to do with them anymore, what that's going to do is it's going to create a vacuum. It's going to create a space in your life. And it's very likely that some new toxic person is just going to come in and fill that vacuum. Let's say you want to get rid of a bad habit. You're smoking cigarettes and one day you just decide, that's it, I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes. So you stop. Creates like a space, a vacuum in your life. Think about how much time you were spending smoking cigarettes or with the toxic people. There's suddenly this space in your life where there was the habit. What's going to happen is something's going to come along and fill that empty space. It might be that you just start smoking again. It might be that you start drinking again. It might be that you pick up a toxic relationship to fill the space that was left by smoking the cigarettes, whatever the bad habit you're trying to break. Okay, so the way that we will break that habit or stop hanging out with toxic people is, instead of just pulling something out, what we're going to do is we're going to create something new. Okay, we're going to add something. Always create something new. Okay, instead of, to use the example of getting rid of toxic people from your life, instead of just pulling them out, what you want to do is start deliberately spending time with good people that are going the same direction as you, that are positive, that have drive, that are achieving things, that are on a self-development journey. Okay, so rather than just removing the bad people from your life, what you're going to do is you're going to put in a lot of good people. You're going to look 2 weeks ahead and book time on the weekend to hang out with someone positive. Okay, you're going to go to a club, start doing a hobby or sport that is building you up, that is good for you, and start investing your time into those good people. What that will do is that will just reduce the amount of time you have available for the toxic people. Okay, instead of just pulling it out and leaving a vacuum, what we're going to do is we're going to add pressure into your life that's going to ease those people out of your life. You just won't have time. You can't hang out with everyone all the time. If you're hanging out with someone that's really good for you, you're not hanging out with someone that's bad for you. Okay, so rather than just pulling out the bad person, the toxic people from your life, we're going to put in lots of good people. We're going to invest our time into the good people. Same with breaking a bad habit. Instead of just removing the bad habit, instead of just stopping smoking cigarettes, what you might do is might start getting very physically fit, and then you might start eating very healthily. Okay, and doing a sport that requires you to be very physically fit is going to invest in your time, and that's going to add pressure to your desire to remove that bad habit, to stop smoking cigarettes. Okay, at some point, remember rule number 1, a little bit every day. At some point you make a change. At some point you do just make a big change, and then that's it. If you stop smoking cigarettes one day, whether it's now, a year from now, or 10 years from now, at some point you were smoking and then you just have your last one, and for the rest of your life you never do it. So you've made a change. If you're hanging out with very toxic people and then you try to get rid of them, and over time you learn how, and then eventually you just never hang out with them anymore. Okay, so there is a change made. At some point you do just make it a long-term change. But the way to do that is to add pressure in on the positive end. You always want to be creating something new. It's always more powerful but to be doing something than not doing something. Okay, it's always more powerful to be adding something into your life than taking something away. There's always limited capacity that you have to do things. Okay, so you always want to be putting something new in rather than just removing things. You don't just cut things out, okay? If you want to eat better, you don't just stop eating unhealthy food. What you do is you start eating more healthy food. Okay, this is a very basic principle, something I'm going to return to over and over again. It's rule number 2, create something new. This is Eddie, and we are learning how to get living.